Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today, I'm going to be asking a bunch of coaches what they miss, what they could have back from their tennis history or childhood. Stay tuned. So first, I got Coach Lisa Berg from Racket Club here with me. Coach Lisa, what do you wish was still around today that you miss from your tennis history?
I miss the wooden tennis rackets. I grew up playing on those, and you could always slice them off if they were too long. That was long before there were junior tennis rackets. And I also liked the soft feel and the fact that you actually have to develop strokes with them.
Yeah, so you actually had to play the game of tennis the right way, right? Serve and volley?
Oh, no, not serve and volley for me. As my coach in college said, the only time I came up to the net was to shake hands at the end.
Wow, so you're Chris Everett baseline.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so was there anything else that you still miss?
I miss my Art Linkletter tennis shoes because back in the 60s, they did not make tennis shoes, and I was tiny, and for tennis particularly, and especially for kids. So these were the closest things that looked like what the adults wore, and they were like a boat shoe, and they were endorsed by Art Linkletter with his picture on the back.
So Art Linkletter, to me, just from looking at archival material on YouTube, was an announcer, wasn't he?
Either that or a game show host?
Right.
Something like that. This shows how old I am.
But I think he was like a Johnny Carson
I think you're
or
right.
somebody like that, right? Because I think, I know where I would seen him from. So on the opening day of Disneyland in 1955, he was interviewing Walt Disney. I think that was Art Linkletter.
Well, I don't know. I was born in 56, so you can figure it out here.
All right. So Art Linkletter shoes and wooden rackets from Coach Lisa here. All right. Next, I got my man Coach Rob here to tell you what he misses or what he wants back from his tennis past. Coach Rob, what would you want to come back?
I love that Wilson Jack Kramer Pro Staff racket, the wood one from back in the days. That racket was a lot. Just loved the feel of that racket. And also really liked the Adidas Grand Prix shoe. Those always felt like I was really playing tennis. They were different than the Stan Smiths that were just super flat. My feet always got hot. But the Grand Prix always seemed to have a little more cushion and pad back in the day. So those would be the two things I could
that's crazy. So I was interested in those Grand Prix shoes because that didn't ring a bell with me. So I went to look it up. They make a new version of that Grand Prix shoe. So it's an Adidas Grand Prix shoe. You could still get that today. It's definitely not made for tennis. We took a look and it's definitely made for casual wear. Kind of like your new Rod Laver, your new Stan Smith. You wear those with jeans. It's now called a lifestyle shoe, not a tennis shoe. But you could still get it though. It's called an Adidas Grand Prix shoe. Now, I actually have a question because this is the second one in a row now that somebody wanted a wooden racket back. So Coach Rob, why a wooden racket?
I just love the feel of it. I think it's great for teaching, putting it in juniors' hands that are coming up and getting them a feel for how the ball comes off the racket, the weight of it, especially on the serve when they bring their racket back to serve. The weight of the racket really helps them get to the right spot, and having to swing it over, you can really feel the weight, where the new ones that are so light, they get really whippy and you don't quite get the same feel as you do with the old wood.
Sorry, I tell people that all the time, right? You get a heavier racket like a Sampras 85 or a wooden racket in your hand, right? You really have to swing. You have to teach yourself how to play tennis. It'll teach you how to play tennis. These rackets here today aren't going to teach you how to play tennis. It's going to spoil you, right? So I understand now. We got two answers of wooden rackets now. So I want to thank Coach Rob for hanging out with me today. Thank you, Coach Rob. All right, so I got my man Coach Goo here, and I'm going to ask him this question. Coach, what racket in what shoe would you bring back today from your past?
Okay, that's a great question. For me, the first thing I would say, the first racket I ever want to bring back is the Wilson K-Factor Blade. If you remember it, Djokovic, when he started out his pro tour, he was using the Wilson K-Blade. So for me, I actually started to use it when I was a junior, and then I was actually debating between the K-Blade or the Babylon Aero Pro with the Cortex system still in it.
Yeah.
So
Cortex is garbage.
yeah.
Go with K-Blade.
Overall, I mean, I wish I still gone with the K-Blade, but I got to play with it. I wish I still had it. I wish I still took in that if I had to go rewind, get a time machine, go back to it. But I would say definitely the K-Blade. The K-Blade was one of my favorite rackets, and I wish I brought it back.
Wow. What about shoe?
My shoe would be the Barricade 5s. If you guys remember the Barricade 5s, almost every player wore it, I assume.
Including me.
Including you. Most of the players that I knew back in the day played with the Barricade 5s because it was the most comfortable shoe of all time. Even though it looked pretty big, like a brick.
Yeah.
But when you wore it, you're like, wow, this is actually pretty light for like what the design was.
For what it was very stable.
So it was stable,
that extra
and the
weight.
heel
Yeah.
was like perfect. Like everything about that shoe shows you about that time of technology for shoes.
Oh yeah,
was amazing.
For
so
sure.
now like with the Barricades now kind of like excluded out of the lineup now, it was pretty disappointing to see now the recent updates of Adidas coming out with shoes. I really personally don't like them anymore. After Barricade 7s, I moved away. But if I could bring a shoe back, it would be definitely the Barricade 5s.
Whoa. So guys, K-Blade 98 and Barricade 5 for Coach Gu here.
Yep.
Back with Coach Gu here, he actually wants to mention an honorable mention. Right? Coach Gu, tell the boys, what's your honorable mention?
So for my honorable mention would be the Yonex EZO 98DR. So a lot of people been asking like, is the Yonex EZO the current one like the DR? And for me personally, I wish I could say I played with the DR, but I haven't. But a lot of people have been asking me to play with it. I personally wanted to play with it because since Utah got me into the E-Zone, everyone's like the DR is the best one. So for me, if they still made it, I would definitely try the E-Zone DR for sure. So hopefully if someone can give that for me during Christmas, I'll be pretty happy.
Well, they would have to give it to you in a used form because that thing's been gone for like how many? 4 years now? 3 years.
I'll take a used one. I wouldn't mind. I would love to try one for sure.
Yeah, you're not the only one, man. Everybody
who
knows that racket wants that
back.
racket.
I know.
Yeah. So that's the Yonex E-Zone DR 98 or DR series.
Yep.
All right, so I got my man Coach Chris here, and I'm going to ask him the question: what racket and what shoe would you bring back to today so that you can use it?
Got it. So mostly for nostalgia reasons, I would go back to kind of one of the first rackets I've used, which is the Wilson Encode. It's 195, yes.
I know that one very well. Looks like a candy cane. It's red and white. Yeah. 11.7 ounces on a 95 head, 16 by 18 string pattern. I know it very well because I sold a ton of those.
It was really popular. You know, also I remember playing with it a lot in just public parks, in Golden Gate Park too, quite a bit. Just hit tons of balls with it. So it's one of the rackets that I first used and learned how to play tennis with.
Yeah, that particular racket pretty stood the test of time. I want to say it was around for 20 plus years before they took it out of the line. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. But yeah, that racket was a staple in the Wilson line forever. Now, Coach, what shoe would you bring back to wear?
I would bring back is the Nike Air Max Cage.
Ah, the one that Rafa Nadal used to wear?
Yep. Same
First
exact one.
generation?
First generation.
Oh
That's
my
what I remember.
gosh. Everybody likes that one too. Why do you like that one?
Again, for nostalgia reasons, that was probably one of the first shoes I learned how to slide on. So it was quite kind of a heartwarming experience because playing tournaments and then finally, going really fast for a ball and learning how to slide with it, it was quite an accomplishment back in the day.
Wow, my man Chris learned how to slide with Rafa shoes and was playing with a 6'1" 95. Wow, that brings back memories for me too. All right, thank you, Coach Chris. All right, guys, so I've asked the coaches what they want to bring back to today, and I'm actually a little surprised. Wooden rackets was definitely not on my radar, but hey, Coach Lisa and Coach Rob are both purists, so I get it. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing some of the pros play with a wooden racket today, just to see how they would fare. I don't know if Rafa with his crazy spin can use that wooden racket to impart that incredible spin with a little wooden racket like that. So it'd be interesting to see how pros would do with a wooden racket. So I'm definitely down for that. Coach Andrew and Coach Chris, yeah. I mean, they're a little younger, obviously, so the history doesn't go as far back. But I agree with Coach Andrew in that I would love to see that Barricade 5 back. One of the greatest shoes of, I think, all time. So I would want that shoe back myself, along with the Barricade 2, which I still deem as the best shoe ever made for tennis. That shoe was around for a long, long time. When they discontinued that shoe, everybody was sad. All right, in terms of rackets, though, I would love for Yamaha to be back today. Yamaha Secret 04. I mean, I played with this for probably 1.5 to 2 years. It brings back a lot of great memories for me when I was in high school. So, I mean, maybe it's a nostalgic thing. Maybe I just want a stiff racket that's 100 square inches. That's not a Babolat. But Yamaha, I always think very fondly of Yamaha. I mean, I've owned the Secret 4. I've owned the Secret 6. I've owned the Secret 10, the 10-2. I just have kind of warm and fuzzies for Yamaha. So I wish that, they were back and making rackets again. So I'm still trying to make a video on Yamaha. It will come, guys. So just bear with me. I'm just trying to get the finer points of the history. But Yamaha Secrets, I didn't go to the EOS, but I did go to the EX. And then after that, they kind of went away. I kind of know why, but but I miss Yamaha. So, I wish they were around today still. And of course, who wouldn't want the Pro Staff 85 Pistol Pete Sampras's racket, right? I want the St. Vincent one just like you guys. All right, I want them to go back to that factory and say, hey, make this racket again. And make a lot of them so that everybody can have one. Because I think everybody who knows anything about tennis should own one of these. Just, to get started or use it as a reset racket or just have it around the house. Because it's a piece of tennis history equipment. I feel like if you don't know this racket or don't own one of these, you kind of don't know tennis. But that's just me. So I would love to have these back and Yamaha's back. So that's just me, guys. Let me know what you guys want back. What racket do you want to see again? What shoe do you want to wear again? Let me know. All right? Thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.